of the biggest lessons I learned as a teacher regarding teaching was actually from a child. It was an aha moment from a 6-year-old. Children in my class when I was an infant teacher, writing their own stories was a daily fear for them. It didn't even have to be a story, quite frankly. It could be anything they wanted to write. And they just wrote, write, go ahead. And the babies took to it like duck to water because it was something that they did on a regular basis and from a young age. So they were not afraid. They loved it. No pressure, just write, mistakes and all. I would rove about and give them select suggestions in between as they wrote. Now, there was a particular student in my class, a little boy called Sean, who just loved to write. Give him a chance and he would write all day long. Now, they could write and draw, by the way. Now, his pictures I easily understood. It was his stories, his words I did not understand. To me, it was just gibberish. Sean didn't know that it was gibberish to me. He would read his stories, adventures and all, and if I did not understand, he was none the wiser. And let's face it, in his mind, the mistake was mine, not his. So he would read his stories, and I would just say, great story, Sean, great imagination, love it. Then one fateful day, a magical educational experience happened. Sean was reading his story to me his usual way, and then I began to recognize in between small portions, at least small portions of his writing, I began to recognize. Words and phrases, lo and behold, began to jump out at me. As he continued to read, I listened, and then I would chime in with the odd word or phrase that I understood, that made sense to me. And then he would resume reading, and then I would jump in with a word I recognized. And that's how it went as he continued to share his story, his adventure with me. Now, most of it was read by Sean, I'll give you that. But I excitedly chimed in when I could. Finally, his spelling and his phonics were becoming standardized. Finally, he was moving away from gibberish words to invented spelling, to more formalized spelling. Finally, at last, phew, I could start understanding his work. I looked at him with great pride when he finished reading, and I said to him, I looked at him with pride that only a teacher who's the only one that can reach the child, only a teacher who's ready to give herself a big pat on the back for her great work, could understand. I looked at him and I proudly said to him, Sean, you're finally becoming a writer. Suddenly his face dropped. What was wrong with this child? I had just given him a compliment, hadn't I? Why the long face? I looked at him quite confused. And then he turned to me and spoke with a flat, expressionless voice. He turned to me and said in a few small words, words so simple, yet so profound. He turned to me and said, Miss, I was always a writer. He turned, went back to his seat, and proceeded to create a drawing for his story. I sat in silence. I had just experienced an aha moment from a 6-year-old.